Hello, welcome to another episode of In Conversation. We've already recorded an episode. Our mugs are empty, and there is already an episode in the bag. We're not quite sure if we're going to show that to you now. But as we kind of finished our episode and just were chatting with each other, we realised that actually there was something else on our heart that we hadn't been able to vocalise. And we've now found a way to vocalise it, and we feel actually it's probably more important to share than what we've already recorded. So excuse the empty mugs, and hopefully this doesn't kind of annoy people too much, but it's Wednesday today, the day we're recording, so you're going to see this on Thursday, and we're recording the day before. And on Tuesday this week, for those that live in a bubble or haven't heard, the government decided to put Greater Manchester into a Tier 3 lockdown, which essentially tells people that they should be minimising the times that they're leaving their homes. They shouldn't be leaving the area. Places like pubs and hospitality sectors are being told to shut down. And actually, it's rubbish. We ended our last episode by saying actually that's the news, and we personally feel like we've been really affected by it, and so if our previous episode that you may or may not see didn't make any sort of sense, it's because we're still trying to come to terms with what the new normal is, which is effectively lockdown again. And the reason why we're kind of sharing some of our feelings is not because we're after sympathy, and that's the last thing we're after. But we wanted to share how we feel because we reckon there's probably a lot of you feeling exactly the same. And you're not quite sure what to do and whether you're even allowed to feel the way you're feeling, because that's how we feel at the moment. And we just wanted to share some of how we feel to encourage you really to say we're feeling it too and it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And, we were just talking about, as Christian ministers, we are called to be bringers of hope.
And not just us. Every Christian is called to bring hope.
Definitely. But us specifically, I suppose, it's in our job description, if you like.
Yeah.
And I guess, wrongly, the image of that I've perhaps always had is that we need to stand at the front, or we need to sit here in front of this camera and say, it's all going to be all right, and plaster a kind of fake smile on our face and pretend like it's not happening and just say, keep calm and carry on. But actually, I think there's something about being a bringer of hope that requires us to acknowledge how we really feel, and also to share that and to just be upfront and vulnerable almost, in saying, as Calum just said, we're right there with you. We are angry, we are frustrated, we are tired, we are sad. All of those things that I'm sure all of us are feeling in different measures at the moment. We are right there with you, and we want to say, we do have hope, and we do believe that things will one day be better, as the Queen and Vera Lynn tell us. There is one day that we will meet again, but actually for the moment it's really hard to see when that will be. And I think the thing that we're particularly struggling with at the moment is the fact that there doesn't seem to be an end in sight to this pandemic.
So it's like when the news broke that we're going back into lockdown in, I think it's like 24 hours time now. I think my approach to this news was different to when we went into the general lockdown, the national lockdown earlier in the year. I think none of us had ever experienced a lockdown before. I think it's the first time in history that it might have happened, although someone will tell me I'm wrong on that. And to me, it kind of went, right, okay, fine, let's get to work. Let's keep people going. Let's rebuild and let's keep people alive. And that kept going. I started daily reflections on Facebook. I started doing Facebook Live for the first time ever, and that was terrifying. And we built up a pattern of prayer at church. We developed online worship and
pastoral care
we developed a pastoral care system. You switched jobs, and we coped. And we found coping mechanisms, and all was well, and we got through it. We had the joy of sunshine and gardens. We had the hope of Easter to look forward to, and this time it's just kind of like that's been going on for a rather long time now, and who knows when it's going to end. We're exhausted, and I think the exhaustion that is about the place, not just us but a lot of other people, it's there because actually we're not getting time to recreate, and I'm passionate about this subject in that our days off, we committed from the very first point that we were married that when we had a day off we were going to take it, and we found the only way we could take a day off, because obviously we work at home, is that we go away and we do something. So we have days out. And God made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested, and he calls us to do exactly the same. On the seventh day we are to rest, that our bodies, that our soul, that who we are can be restored, can be recreated to serve us for the next 6 days. And the problem with lockdowns is actually we can't recreate properly. And I'm saying it in that particular phraseology because take it another way and it gets completely immoral. We're called to recreate ourselves in who we are, and we do that through relationships. We do that through going and having a coffee with people. We do that by going on holiday. We do that by spending time with family. We do that by just having a sense of fun where we're not having to count the number 6 all the time, or we're not having to keep our eye out on 2 meters and all of that. And all these social distancing measures, as important as they are, and it's as important as ever that we fight this virus, and obey all the rules, and they are robbing from us this idea of being able to be restored and recreated, and therefore we're exhausted as a nation, as a community, and so on.
Yeah, and I think I'm even finding just kind of having to plan our day off exhausting. I used to love the fact that we'd, prior to having Samuel, wake up, mid-morning on our day off and go, what do you want to do today? And we'd just get in the car and we'd go somewhere. And we didn't really have a plan. The plan would kind of materialise as the day went on. But it was spontaneous, and there was something in that kind of spontaneity that was freeing and life-giving. Whereas I remember last week, I said, what do you want to do today? And thankfully we managed to do something that, we were able to book something last minute, but actually we can't do that a lot at the moment. We can't just show up at a National Trust property or decide to go, somewhere.
Or even now, just leave Greater Manchester.
Exactly. And it's kind of that, actually everything at the minute feels hard work. And I was just reflecting with you, wasn't I, actually, that it's been particularly hard for us being new parents in this pandemic. So not only has kind of Samuel missed out on so much all this time that we've been in lockdown, and now perhaps we'll miss out to a greater extent, and perhaps in a way that he'll be more aware of. But anyone who has become a parent will know that it is exhausting. And as much as we love him and we wouldn't be without him, this pandemic would have been a lot bleaker had we not had him.
Most definitely.
It's tiring, and not having anybody to share this journey with, to just say, oh, could you take Samuel for a couple of hours while I get my head down, or oh, could you just help us with this, or come and share this with us. Having to carry it just the two of us is quite hard work, and I kind of, when he goes to nursery now, I kind of view going to work as a bit of a break, except going to work isn't really a break anymore, because even work is hard work, because we're having to straddle online and physical worship, and we're having to do lots of things that perhaps we don't feel called to do, that are out of our comfort zone, and certainly do a lot of things that don't give us life at the end of the day. So it just kind of feels like it's kind of hard work after hard work, and that we're getting kind of tireder and tireder. And you know, people do tell me how tired I look, and I really hate when people tell me that because it makes me feel really self-conscious. But actually, there's something in that we're not getting the rest that we are created to have, that we're required to have.
So this is very much personal reflection for us on how we're feeling, and I just want to repeat, we're not sharing this just because we want some sympathy. Although if you want to drop some chocolates off, I ain't going to throw them back in your face. But we're sharing this with you because actually we know there's a lot of you out there that are experiencing exactly the same.
Yeah.
And we just want to affirm you and say it's okay to be feeling like that, because what we're going through as a nation, what we're going through as a community, what the world is going through is not normal, and it is robbing something not just of who we are as people, as Christians, or even something like that but it's robbing us of our humanity, of who God created us to be, and that's maybe one of the greatest evils of COVID. And so, have you got any coping mechanisms?
No, although a friend of mine did on the Wirral did share Frank Field, who is the MP.
Or former MP
of Birkenhead. He actually shared a list of about 10 coping mechanisms, and they were really simple actually, because they were things like, you know, ringing a family member or a friend, you know, going out for a daily walk, you know, getting yourself out of these kind of four walls that you feel trapped in. Just kind of everyday basic stuff that you can do that perhaps we took for granted until we couldn't have them the first time, and then we were like, oh, isn't this great? And then, you know, as always, life kind of returned to some sort of normality and we lost that. But I think actually it's the number one thing. I think it's important to share how you're feeling with somebody else who you trust, and you know, if that's us, please do contact you.
I will more than happily sit and listen to you just kind of moan and complain, and I promise I won't tell you to just cheer up and get on with life.
Yeah, and I think that's more about actually why we're doing this video, as you say, not for sympathy, but actually we want to say we are here to support you. That's why we started this series in the first place. You know, we want to be of help and of support to you in the communities in which we've been called to serve. And so I think, yeah, the number one tip, I suppose, is do talk to somebody. Don't bottle it up. Don't kind of drive yourself stir crazy staring at the same four walls.
Yeah,
respect, you know, as we've said, respect the rules. We need to combat this, but actually, you know, it is hard. It's hard for all of us, whatever stage of life we're at.
Yeah, I kind of say that actually that whole physical exercise thing is really important. And talking with people about mental health about this time last year, actually doing exercise is good for your mental health. So whether you're fit or not, I just really encourage you to find time every day. And in fact, I'm going to try and make more of a discipline of it in the next couple of days once I've tidied the garage up. And go out for a walk, or do something that just gets your heart pumping a little bit more, that allows you space to breathe.
Yeah.
Last night I went off into church, partly because I needed to rearrange some of the furniture, but I also put on some really calming choral music that I know is something I can just put on, and it helps restore a balance within me. So if you know things that kind of just calm you down or give you a bit of space, use those things to help you focus.
Yeah, and I think as well, you said to somebody yesterday, and I think it's right, you know, look for one positive a day. You know, look for something that is joyful, something that is hopeful in the midst of all this kind of darkness and gloom.
On our driveway at the moment, there's a metal pot, and it's got a dahlia growing in it that I just had a spare bowl or whatever tuber or whatever you call it. So I just popped it in this pot, and it's done wonderful things over the summer, and I've not fully appreciated it. But amidst all the leaves and all the kind of greyness, there's this one bright orange flower. And to me, that was just a joy today to see that one bright orange flower amidst all the chaos of the driveway that is saying, Callum, hurry up and tidy this up.
Yeah.
Just look for something that will bring you joy in the day. And together, we will get through this. Together, there will be lessons that we will learn, and we will be stronger, and to use all the political phrases on the other side of this. But to get through this, actually, there's got to be this level of honesty and authenticity and vulnerability as well.
Yeah. And hopefully, I think, to say again, we've not done this for sympathy, but hopefully, if you watch, you watching us do this, hopefully that will give you permission, if that's what you need. That will give you courage to do just that. And as we say, if you want to talk to us about it, please do pick up the phone or stand at the very end of our driveway, and we'll talk to you.
Or we'll just let Samuel walk all over the driveway, and that'll cheer you up anyway.
It might stress me out even more.
So that's where we are. That's our heart, and we actually felt that was our conversation for this week. So we hope we haven't depressed you even more. We hope that this might have been helpful for you and where you're at, and that invitation to just pick up the phone, it is there. We do mean it, and it's in our relationships with other people that we will find life, and we've just got to reimagine what those relationships look like over the next few weeks, if not months, and allow those relationships to flourish in new ways.
Yeah.
That when they're allowed to return to meeting in physical person less than 2 meters away, it looks even more beautiful. So we are praying for you. Do pray for us. And as Jesus is the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who has gone before us, he goes before us in all that lies ahead. He is with us. That's the message of Christmas that we're gearing up to celebrate in probably the strangest way we have as a nation celebrated in the last century. And it is true. Our reader this morning said as he started the service, we've gathered here together at St Michael's as a reminder that Boris Johnson is not in charge, Andy Burnham is not in charge, Jesus Christ is in charge. And that lifted my spirit so much.
Yeah, and I think just as you've been talking, the verse that keeps coming back to me is John 10:10. I have come that you might have life, and life in all its fullness. Let's never lose sight of that. Jesus has come so that we might have life, and life in all its fullness. It may not feel very full at the moment, but we do believe that is true, and that we will experience that life, even in small ways at the moment, but in much bigger ways in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah. Whatever you're doing, stay safe, take care. God bless.